Good morning, everybody. Today we have the wonderful Whirly Times, Shirley Wintsch, joining us for our artist conversation today. I'm very excited. Yay! Here she is now. Just waiting for her to join us. Very exciting. This lady is a phenomenal talent and she's just such a amazing energy to be around. I hope you guys enjoy it today. It's going to be very cool. No pressure. Here she is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you turn into the landscape? Ah, perfect. Good morning. You look so stunning today.
Oh, thank you.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to be talking to you. What a great start to my day. So if we take it away with your introduction and then, yeah, we'll carry on.
Let's see if this works so I can hear you better.
Excellent.
Let me see. Forget it. There we are. Hello,
Yes.
Shirley Wintsch, Whirly Times, AKA Whirly Times. I am artist. I've been through a lot of different jobs and a lot of different things in my life. Well, I'm Spanish American, and the Spanish side is my mom. The American side is my father. And they developed this crazy personality. I grew up in Spain. I was always creative. I used to draw with my grandma. I used to dance. Dancing was my thing till I figured out I had no flexibility. And then my parents said, oh, you need a real job. You need a real degree. I was good at math and drawing, very good at drawing, technical drawing. So they said, engineering. I said, engineering. So my brother's an engineer. They took me to Georgia, and I studied in Georgia, civil and environmental engineering, Georgia Tech, A-Town down. And here in Georgia, Atlanta is a boom of mixtures and personalities and races and everything. And I learned all these new things, and all these creative things are coming through me. And I started to develop this drawing and this language with my drawing with all my friends. And then I said, why don't I put it into a clothing line? Meanwhile, I'm finishing engineering. I'm also having 100 jobs to be able to do my engineering and my art on the side. And then I also graduate, I get a job. So I use the money from my engineering job, and my engineering jobs were IKEA, which
They were.
which you know really well. And also my main job being IKEA, Home Depot, B&Q in London.
Yeah.
Right? They were so square, and everything was a square, and then 1% coming out of the, the elevations. And I'm like, oh, I need to get out of this square. This square was giving me all this anxiety. I'm like, can I just make it different? And I will even show them, no, the square is what works for us. So I realized I was in Georgia. Georgia was still a bit square. It was evolving and grown with love and the spirits and personalities, but still was a bit too square for me.
Yeah.
So that's when I start really getting into the clothing line. While getting into the clothing line and styling music artists and living with an artist, musician, amazing musician, Senona, I started to get into acting a little bit. I was not good at it. I really got into it, but I was not very. When it came to the audition, I'm like, can you give me this accent? Can you stop? And I'm like, no, I'm more free spirit than this another little square. So I said, I need to find where I'm not going to feel so squared. So I continued with the clothes. The clothes took me to Miami, to Vegas, to LA. So when I hit LA, it was like, oh, I like this place. More here, you can be free. Even if you feel a little awkward, you're not so awkward. There are awkward people like you, because everywhere else I was a bit different. And then here I realized, no, everyone is different in LA. You just want more. You made it. But then, of course, LA is really expensive. And that came to an end. But while I was in LA, I had the pleasure to work for amazing people. And all these people, they saw this little Tinkerbell. Let's see if we can. So I was very lucky. I met someone named Henry Vincent, which is an amazing artist. I don't know if you, LA-based artist, and he's also really well connected in the art world. So I got to see that side. But at all this, I'm very much a fashion designer trying to make it in LA. And, I was still for sure that I was going to be a fashion designer. And, but this person said, no, you're an artist. You're an artist. It doesn't matter if you touch this, that you're an artist. So soon that you get to say, I'm an artist. And it was really hard for me to do this, because he introduced me to people. And I'm like, I'm Shirley, I'm Worley, I'm like, whatever. But like, I'm this thing. No, I'm Shirley, an artist. So he will practice with me. You need to learn how to say this. And this is what I want to do. And these are the projects. So he was really good at opening the whole mindset, which still today, I think I'm not amazing at, obviously, like him, because I'm not famous like him or whatever. But, and also he taught me how to, for example, we were sitting in a cafe, and he will say to a major collector, I have this new great project. Oh, and she will be like, oh, but Henry, I don't have money right now. And he will, and these are really rich people. And I just put this money into that project and that project, and super famous people projects. And I was like, and he's like, no, but this project is really good for you. And then the lady will say, how much, Henry? He's like, just 100,000. Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about it next month. And I'm like, and I will be like, how did he just do that? So what I learned is, like, you have to know, which is really important, what we heard yesterday from Zoe. And it's true, and it just sat on my mind a little bit. You have to be very sure of what you are, which it took me time. And then you have to learn how to put that together to be able to sell it to the world. He has that all together, obviously. So coming from him, and then seeing, well, look, I am broke. I'm in LA, and I need to resettle myself and find myself a base so I can create. Because creating out of someone's studio, or it wasn't, I was kind of getting too much of his flow, which is great. I mean, but I can't be copycat to Henry Vincent, or copycat Louis Walden, another person I met, amazing, Andy Warhol superstar, Louis Walden. He painted for he was in the studio, he was a star, he painted with them. And so in the factory, so I was lucky enough to be able to create some of these pieces for Louis Walden before he died, and as his worker. I'm like, he's the old man, he's the artist. Can you put this color here as his worker? And so meeting little people, big people like this, but they're just human beings. It also showed me there's something, and they say I have something, and there's something there. So I went back to Spain. I decided to focus on my art. My art was a bit, I look at it now, back in very childish. But I am childish. No, I'm not childish. I'm childlike. I think I'm still today, I try to be, because another piece of advice that I got from Henry was try to be more abstract. And back then I'm like, I don't like abstract. I don't know abstract. Abstract is easy. Abstract stupid. Abstract whatever. All these little girls excuses that we create to not start something. And then so I tried to stay away from the figures so much, which I was drawing so much, and the little drawings and focus on abstract. And all of a sudden I liked it. I liked it. I really liked it. And I realized it's difficult. It's not easy.
Yeah. I was saying to another artist the other day, she's predominantly abstract, and I said, it's so frustrating because people really look at it and they're like, a child can do this. And it's like, no, it's not like that. And what's so great from your thread, from looking back to the beginning of your Instagram, is even through your evolution.
Looking back to the beginning. Oh,
Lord. All the way back. There's 3,000 and all the way back. And what was so great is, obviously, I know you as a mom, and I can see how heavily Baby Whirly, you know, has affected your art.
It has.
But you still, like you say, you're very childlike, and I think it's totally true. But you keep this sense of real fun throughout, even like in your single days, you know, in the beginning when you're with your friends and you're painting, like it's still the same energy that you've kept, you know, like Zoe was saying, that thread throughout your posts are still very much about you, about everything that inspires you, plus your family. So that energy is still really quite prominent. It's very cool.
Because to me, okay, I could have, at some point many points of my life, I could have stopped and be extremely serious about one topic. But back then I used to have a theme, my creative, that's how my creative goes. Why can I not be a little bit good at many things? Why not? Why can I not? Like I started taking out my camera again. I used to shoot all the time. I got into this camera. I went through phases, and I remember saying that. And the truth is a lot, because it's a lot easier to make money and to make it if you focus on one. And that's why we all end up, and then pick the one that you really connect with the most and focus a little bit. But so then that's why I said painting, and then why not? So I continued, and then I said, everyone's doing. I mean, right now with my budget, or back then, still today with my, you know, you end up in this little square, which I like squares. The reason why I say squares is because I love squares more than rectangles. I like triangles and squares. Yeah. And so I said, let me go to a bigger square. And where am I gonna get a bigger square than the street? So then that's when I moved into murals. And I said, this is the only way I'm gonna really pop up a little bit, you know, because everyone's doing the little square, you know, and I don't have the budget for the sculpture or land art, which is really what James Turrell, I don't know if you're familiar, but that sort of, when I was exposed to that sort of art is when I said civil engineering art, land art one day. That will be my top of the pyramid, my top of my triangle. I used to have this thing that because I would submit to residencies, and you had to show who you were in this. And I used to have this made up diagram that said engineering art, land art, epiphany, you know, trying to show them with an engineering aspect why they should pick me. But too many people submit to these things. So I said, look, let me just go and take walls. And the first few walls, it was like, oh my God. Like, this is horrible. But if there were prime and you know, really straight walls with no bouncies and no bricks, and this is great. It's like a canvas. You can draw on a canvas. You can draw. But when it comes to like all kinds of real land art, is when you realize, well, not everything works on every wall. So then you have to go into your computer, and just like you were designing your clothes, you start designing your walls. and then you realize, oh, I can actually do 30 or 40 pre-walls before I even submit, or even give people, to take you seriously, because you can actually pre-create the piece.
Yeah.
And because if you just go straight forward, you come up with a big piece of if you start planning those walls, they come out like something interesting. And then you also have to think, is this interesting for today, or is this interesting for 20 years?
Yeah.
And someone looks at this for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal, right? So coming to this, when I'm in Spain, I'm creating, and since my mindset is still in the United States, I'm just making money so I can go back there and go back to this crazy nonstop life. And then I realized I kind of like that slow pace life a little bit. It was giving me that space, and I started liking it. Beachfront, I'm looking at the beach. I'm painting, looking at the beach. I mean, the apartment that I have there's nobody in front of me, only the ocean. So you start liking, and I'm like, I'm not trying to hustle out in the street to do this, to do that. But then I also started creating and meeting beautiful people in politics, I guess. Art inspirations, because people that help people like us go somewhere. And I was given a beautiful wall. I mean, I say wall, it's not a beautiful wall because it has so many windows. And as an artist, I mean, it's a very difficult wall to work with. But as in the space on this museum gallery that is over 100 years old there, being in the middle of the city was great. So from this one wall, I guess I made walls before. I mean, I went to Wynwood, I did walls, I did, it's not, but how many people do Wynwood walls? How many people do? And if you're lucky, they stay 3 days in a row because someone comes and tags it at night. I mean, like, competing in the Wynwood walls, which I love because I love the thrive and the energy and the music, and you're creating, and people are coming, taking pictures, and you're dancing and create. I love creating in Wynwood, but the truth is your wall is not going to stay there. So this wall's still there. I mean, the one in this place, in this Círculo de Bellas Artes, is still there. I still walk back and I'm like, I can't believe it. I take shots every time I go because I can't believe someone hasn't tagged it yet.
That's amazing.
I'm so used to like, oh, I don't know, and this is like, oh, shoot, the lights are still going on, like pretty cool. So, and you realize abstract is long lasting. I love now that I'm back home. I moved back to London because I had the baby, and baby daddy is British, and now I came here and I became a mom, and of course, being a mom, my full-time job, which is one of the questions, is mom. Is mom. It went from being an artist / part-time teacher to being a full-time teacher mom, a part-time artist. It went the other way around. So I had to be a lot on a lockdown. The lockdown hasn't started for me 2 months ago. The lockdown started 2.5 years ago. And I realized, I said, okay, so I cannot use spray paint because spray paint is the best, in my opinion, for walls. I mean, it's stinky, I know, and all this, but when you spray paint, the cleanness of the spray paint.
But I mean, and I'm just a baby in my graffiti world, but that's why I suppose I took to you so much, because I understand the pain of a wall, like the planning it takes. And I'm just talking from a graffiti perspective of my little tiny knowledge. There's drawings that go into that. There's planning, like it's epic. And for you to do sides of buildings, that is a phenomenal skill, because another guy, Atma, he also does a lot of mural work. And he was saying you have to do that preparation. Like you're saying, you can prepare 20 drawings for someone, and it evolves your process as well. You start to think, how can I use the windows? How can I use those awkward architectural features? So it's quite incredible, like you say, to have those works actually last. Because some little reprobate with a tin can, and it's like, oh, why? So there is that kind of, you're really trusting the community to take care of it. And I think when you talk about abstract being something that can last a lot longer, I believe that as well, because it can be the colors that affect your mood. It can brighten your day. And I find those are the ones that stick around a lot longer than maybe the more emotional pieces, because it's for your interpretation, which I find wonderful about abstract. It's really, really cool.
And actually, if you tag a little bit, well, depends on how you tag it, but if you tag with a little bit an abstract, it doesn't look so bad. It looks a bit pop artsy, right? But if you tag an image,
it doesn't.
This amazing piece, there were two amazing pieces, but Heracuck in Miami, and then I think it's Sky Faitera, another one, and pieces that people still remember, you know. And when I went to Miami, and they were so tagged, and new major artists were coming to do their new piece, and I was like, no, you really we're saying goodbye to these two pieces, no. And it was like they were so tagged, and I just can't believe people will mess up those. But it's part of the game. At the end, mural work is part of the game. You have to get over it. Get tagged, you have to get over it. You do the new piece, or you fix it, or you don't. Or it is part of what it's supposed to be like, which is art. Really, mural artists are kind of squeezing into street artist places and saying, hey, so I get it. But I love, for me, talking about the point that you said, the question that you said, what was one of your scariest moments? But I was wondering if it was, well, I'm gonna say scariest moments while making my art, or while not making my art.
It can be both. It just, for me, because I think so often as a sort of young artist I always like to know what's been your highlight and what's been your sort of scariest moment. So if there's two, please feel free to let us know.
I was trying to think, I'm like, okay, scary moment while making my art. I have one. In Miami, Wynwood, I get this huge wall, but all the way at the back of some parking lot. So even to get to it was what I was able to get that year. And I had to even go through like cars that were being parked there for years and years, and bushes. And so basically, to be able to get to the ladder to get up, you had to go over all this crazy parked cars, oxidized, and the ladder, and I'm able to get to borrow a firefighter ladder. So the super long ones, but it's not being supported by nothing at the bottom, and the top is hitting this rail for the birds to not sit on the top of the wall. And so the ladder's going like this every time I move. And I remember telling Steve, from the photographers, telling Steve, please hold the ladder, I can't be over. Please, like one of the guys that's just taking shots for, buddy of mine, but like he's going around the murals, taking shots of everybody because he's doing a book. And I'm like, no, you need to sit there while I do the little talk for a little. Because the thing, I remember doing it by myself, and the thing went, whoa. And I'm like, I'm literally risking my life right now. I had nothing.
No, you really were.
Not even the mask, because I dropped it already from up there and broke it. I broke my phone from up there, like, because it was really high. And I have like, and I remember saying, really, I'm doing this for what? Like this little shitty wand. And I said, so the bottom of this wall is really developed. The medium part is, and the top part is just a few things now, that you can see how I lose my interest as I'm going up. So that was a very freaky moment for me. And also, like, everyone's partying downstairs. There's like a huge party, and I'm all the way up there, like shaking. I'm like, oh my God, that was definitely another one was when I did my first show, solo show in LA. And it
Yeah.
was the first time that I say, okay, I'm coming as an artist. And I did my first solo show, helped by Henry. And he tells his super rich art world, super people, amazing people, influencers, everybody about it. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I was, and on it, and some pieces were really good, and some pieces were really not good. But I still, that's what I was doing back then, and I put it up, and I was like, is anyone gonna come? So that little or not, or what are they gonna think? That and then I didn't get a lot of people, but then I did get one or two major collectors, and they came to me just for the show, for the thing, and one of them had a car accident.
Oh, wow.
So I don't, nothing bad happened, but a little thing, a little fender bender, and because of this one little incident, joke, funny, it wasn't nothing bad happened, but like, this happened to this person on Shirley's new show, so they heard about it. It was like, it was a big, all this time our people, they heard, oh yeah, you show when this person, this happened to this person. I'm like, oh yeah, that's why, but still. And then I'm like, well, at least they didn't get to see the bad pieces. They only heard about that I was showing. And then the good pieces, at least we put them a little more in the internet. But yeah, that was another scary. I remember that night I was really, really worried. And at the end, it was nothing. It's just a show. But that my first solo show.
I think there's an element of that. Like, it's nice to hear that an artist of your caliber is still freaking out, or has a moment where she's freaked out. Because
I'm always freaking out.
My first solo show, I lay on the floor just in a ball, and my sister sort of looked at me, she's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really excited." And she's like, "It really looks like it." And then obviously you come to the end of your show and you're like, it was wonderful. It was fine. There was no, all the horrible stuff you put in your mind, nothing actually came to fruition. It was all great. Everyone had a good time. So it's nice to hear that you've had those moments as well. It's a little calming. And then on the back of that, if we talk about then now your most sunshiny, proudest moment so far, what is that looking like?
I think that's to come. My proudest moment, I don't think it has arrived yet. I have really high standards. I always had, even though I effed around and I moved around the world, and because I think I have to play. I have to feel good and play about everything I do. If it doesn't feel, even, but I'm telling you, I feel good about my projects, but then I get this anxiety, anger, weird, but I fight through it working on the pieces. Always, like, especially when it's getting towards the end, it's like, is this what, because it's not, usually it's not 100% what it was in my mind. Just about 80%. And is that 80%? So I always get that happy, but the happiest so far, well, let me think. I had a really good happy moment when Dulce was able to get me a car to paint on, because for a little while I said, I want to paint a car. I want to paint a car. I want to paint a car. So I get like, I want to do this, into this project. And she said, well, I might be able to find you a car sponsored by, I think am I getting this right? Was it the Mini? I think it was the Mini that I did. And if I get this wrong, I look back in my pictures. It was I think it was a Smart. It was a Smart. They're gonna, but I can't get this wrong. And so we put vinyl around it because it was a brand new car, and still they didn't want to mess up directly, or not mess up. They did, there's always an artist, but they don't really. So they gave me the car. We put the vinyl around the car, and I painted on, and that was when I saw it ready. It was like, and it only took me 2 hours one day and 3 hours another day, and then the varnish, and that was it. It was
It is very cool. I've actually put a picture of it up in the story today. I think that little car is super cute. It's really,
And it
really
was
cool.
like only like I said, I can do this for a living, like 2 hours and 3. Are you kidding me? But and I liked it. I said because it was petite and it was like a sculpture, like a little installation. So I think I enjoy it more when I see complete. Like I love creating canvas, and right now I'm more into canvas and collages because I'm not really getting out. But when I see a big installation or a big piece, or what we were talking about, that we could create this installation with many artists in the future, that we were talking about isolation. Like when I see I don't like to see things when they're 2D. Even it just when I see the complete picture 3D is when it to me comes to life, and I get the okay, now this is working. Now we're going somewhere. And also when I completed that wall that I told you about that I did in Tenerife, it was very difficult, first of all, because it was 100-year-old building. It was a government building. It needed work. So it was very difficult to get permits. It took a year for people connected, really well connected people, all the way up there to get all the permits that I needed to create this piece. Not only was it not work, and the media had to get involved. The well-connected people needed the media involved. They also needed all these pre-projects to see. I mean, it was, and finally saying, oh, because of the headache of how many submittals I gave, and I honestly, because I started with things that I would like, and that wasn't going, and then things that maybe they would like and I would like, that wasn't going. So it turned into be a more simple, and then that was going. And then I said, right before the media took one, my friend Pepe got in with one that last minute that I made that was a little more color, and he put that one in front of the camera, so they had to take that one. And I was, thank God. So finally I said, well, the fact that I was able to put this a little bit of color through a governmental super, like you could see, I mean, it felt like it had high security, and it's just a little art. It's like, oh my God, let's secure the building. It's falling apart, but let's secure the wall. But finally, so being able to see it completed, and it didn't, again, once you get into a project, it doesn't take that long. It's just planning, execute, finalizing. And you have to tell yourself, I finalized here.
How did you, for the year-long process of getting the paperwork, how did you kind of keep enthusiasm for the project going? It must have been quite frustrating at times, no?
Well, every project is like that, I think. I think every major project is like that, unless you are someone already thought of you, or you and two more, like I'm gonna pick between these few people that I have in mind. If it's new people, they're gonna, it's like, you have to, it has to rain. The projects have to rain. They say, oh, 3, and they pick one. But the thing is that the 3 that you might think, they might have nothing to do with what they're thinking or they're feeling or so I'm used to that. I don't take it. A lot of things don't come through. A lot of things that I get asked to do, I do, and then you see something similar by someone else in the same place. You're like, yeah, give my project to someone else. But you have to get over that. Otherwise, you're still in your cocoon. You have to submit, and that's part of the game. That's just part of. And also, it allows you to say, well, maybe that wasn't that good, or maybe that, when you submit your portfolio to a teacher at the end of the year, some things are not that good, some things are good, or some things don't. Well, this is a client that is going to spend 10,000, 20. I mean, I don't know how much exactly at the end the wall was. Well, I do know, but I mean, I'm not gonna say exactly, but they're investing money, and
Yeah.
they to. I get it.
Yeah, and how do you think about the next projects, or how do you come to, and because someone was saying to me, obviously projects don't just fall in your lap. You have to be consistently working at it. And obviously you've been really lucky to be connected to some people that, you know, think of you before
Well,
they
I
think
mean,
of
it
you
took me
because of your,
2 years to be to.
but
I
exactly
went
you
to
put in that
every.
work.
No, I went to the art shows.
Yeah.
I went to no. I found my
No, no,
way.
I don't mean to
No,
take
no,
up.
no.
Like you put in that work and got into those spaces where you are around those type of people because you have to be.
Yeah,
It's
you
your
have
job
to.
to work and
And
do all that. So how do you come about choosing your next project? Is it just come to you,
well,
inspiration, a process?
well, right now, for example, I mean, not that you see that I like that came through. I was driving the other day and I saw a wall and I said, well, that could be a part. I when I drive or when I say that could be a possible wall or not. That's how and then for example, now my next step right now I'm on lockdown. Is it legal for me to even come to them and say, hey, would you like a mural on that messed up wall that you have right there? Or is it even yours or not? Or do you know? I depends. But when it's something that I like that I see something that I like, I go for it.
Okay.
And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to find who knows who, or sometimes something doesn't go work today and it works in 4 years. I
Mhm.
mean, sometimes by the fourth year you already lost interest on it or not, but where you're like, oh, I for example, there was a wall that I had ideas for many years before,
Yeah.
and I had done so many already ideas on my computer with Photoshop, and it never went to anything. And then years later, they're like, "Oh, you're an artist. We heard about you. Would you like to do something here? How would you go about it? I already have things for here." You say,
Mm.
right away, I email. You guys, I emailed you a long time ago. You guys just didn't email me back or whatever. And then it might go through or not. But that has happened to me, that I
That's,
pick something and then I forget and I do something. And then sometimes you can also take ideas that you had for one word that didn't work to another. But
yeah.
then, and it at least shows that you could do something interesting, but it might have nothing to do with the client at that moment or the person that is going to have to see it again.
Yeah.
Luckily, you'll see it for a long time. Also depends on the wall. Like if you're picking a low wall that everyone's going to see, the chances of it staying like that are very little. If you
Yeah.
pick walls that are a bit higher or further away from the pedestrian walk, touch,
Mhm.
or the occasional tagger, then you have more chances. So it's also picking walls. Then also when you pick walls, sometimes the people are like, we don't want anything on our wall, like they're
Mm.
old school or they're really old, but we'll fix all those cracks that you have along the way. If sometimes you even have to, you know,
A bargain.
but and they still say no sometimes, and they still say, so next wall, you can't convince every old person
No.
to, but yeah.
And how now, obviously, I love your answer about lockdown. You've been in lockdown for sort of 2.5 years. I think that's hysterical. Sorry, I love that answer. But how have you found that this pandemic has affected you? Has it affected your art? That type of stuff. How has it affected your art?
Well, I gone back to collage picture drawing,
Yeah.
uh, which I did many many years ago. I haven't touched that in a while, and I'm liking it again. I'm liking it in a different way because I was the difference between back then and now is back then I was trying to learn how to do abstracts. without. So you have to really step away from the cartoons, the drawings, the collages, the cut and this, that word works with, to try not to do that, because it's very easy. That's more attractive. So it's very easy to go to it. But now I still will focus on my abstract, but out of all this weird influence that we're having right now, this weird timing, people dying, family can't do anything. Because if I was in a lockdown, but I was not in a full lockdown. I can still have a full day at the museum. It's still not. It's making me go back to those pictures and those drawings and how I feel about the moments. And of course, my models is my family, which they're getting tired of it. They're like, please stop. Like,
I can just picture you hiding in the bushes.
Color this unicorn. Can you? And I'm thinking, I'm like doing doodles on the trash bins. The big bins that you have to take out for the trash people. I'm like, well, let me do a doodle here or something. I'm like, I can't. That's what I said, because I did look at a wall. I've been looking at this wall that I draw, and I'm like, is it right for me? Maybe I just need to take a picture of who they are in email. Maybe I don't know if I can go into a business that is, it's a weird time. It's a very weird time, and I guess I'm expressing it. But I always try to find the happy, the sour, the happy touch, the sugar to the sour.
Yeah.
Always, no matter things are wrong, things that, we're hearing about all these crazy things happening, all these, what I'm talking about, all these crazy moments, all these people trying to take advantage of people, and instead of helping people. But also we're all trying, the good ones we're trying, and we're staying home, and I'm getting a lot of interesting content, I think, with the drawing. And also you got me back into drawing, believe it or not. I mean, it's been a while that I was just painting, and we started doing the still life classes, or classes of drawing, or groups. And I call it a class. I have to, in my head, because the teacher always has classes.
I'll take it. We're having classes, guys. Come and learn everything from me.
There's always class at 10 classes. That's how I also take my breaks from my family. I have class right now. I haven't,
I love it.
It's teacher mode. Like I'm, also through this crazy pandemic, I decided to open a few Zoom toddler free classes for little kids. So I do have actual classes during the week. And I even pass assistance, believe it or not, like when this person, even though I don't have to or anything.
No, it's so cute.
And just so they can get, because she's not seeing her friends, and they're not getting their rhyme times and their vocabulary and the music and head, shoulders, knees, and toes. So we do a little, like 30 minutes things on Zoom. We're doing a few things, and so I still think I have my classes, and you're one of my classes.
Yay! Yeah, no, it's been so horrific, but because I have a safe home and I have a safe space, it feels weird. I don't feel like it's affecting me, but everything outside is affecting me, like we spoke earlier today. There's things that are happening that are so horrific, but it feels like a movie almost. Like I'm at home, but I'm not on holiday.
Like someone should be writing a movie about this. I just don't have the time, because I'm trying to do, like back then I got into writing movies. I got into so many things. And it's not so difficult for everyone else that is looking out there. It's very easy. You look it up online. How do you write a script? And then you write it. I just don't have the time right now. But because I was telling Ray, I said, someone needs to be writing about this, in all kinds of ways. It is incredible. So much. When I leave the house, I'm a little freaked out, to be honest.
Well,
I become one of those since I heard the first thing on the news. I become a bit of a, ooh, you know, or let me run to this side. Let me run to that side. Let me, you know. A kid was sneezing the other day in the shop, and I was like, oh my God.
it's horrible. I like look at these women in the shop, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm like, I don't want to go near you. It's horrible. Like, you're super contagious, and I don't want to. And I'm dying for someone to just brush past me in the shop. Like, can we get back to London where we had no personal space and everyone's like this on the tube? But it's so now I'm like, I'm only going out once a week. Like, if I absolutely have to go to the shop, then I'll go, and I'm really cautious to be near anyone, and I really don't like that feeling. I don't already trust human beings. I think we're quite weird. But I love humans too, you know, like I miss meeting people and having a hug or a high five, or, you know, it's not like a big sexual thing that I miss. I just miss like a touch on the shoulder.
For
It's a
me,
horrible.
I'm for me personal, no, but I don't like when I see her and she sees other kids and she can't touch them. And I
Yeah.
explain this whole thing to her with the achoo, the 2 meter rule. I don't even know the 2 meter game. I'm like, I have to be creative, but it's so hard to see that she can't, you know, a little kid,
Yeah.
all you do is, and she loves to play catch me. That's her thing. Follow me
Yeah.
and catch me. Because no one's touching you, catching you. But yeah, that's we'll see what happens. I think we have to keep our spirits high and keep creating and keep being, you know, keep sending love, and being home is what we have to do, because I'm not a doctor. I mean, I can't, I cannot. I mean, again, we send them some food the other day, little things here and there you can do. But for me, I just don't want her to get sick. So I'm really protective about her, even though they're saying that the kids don't get sick, whatever. I don't care. I'm with her.
To
I
be
mean, I didn't
fair,
go through this whole 2.5 year lockdown for some little virus to come. I mean, I don't know how many walls I lost. So, I mean, I'm telling you. And but also, you know, the lockdown, this is one thing I like. Sorry, maybe I should have maybe. That all these teachers are making all these super amazing classes online.
yeah.
In me, I don't have that privilege to go an hour into London and an hour, you know, I have to dedicate my time is very, you know, 6 a.m. wake up call. You know, my life is very Leah baby driven. So I have to go around her times to be able to create, you know, I have to move around. So they have all these amazing workout classes, and it's really motivating me to push the leggings out there, and that I've been.
They are so dope. I wanted to tell you guys
I
about
have to
them on
send you
here.
some. I'm gonna send you
Well,
some.
we're gonna have to promote them because I'm
But
going.
it's all right. I have to send you some anyway. You just have to tell me your real size. Because what's the point of? You need to feel good with them. You know, if you have a little size. Well, so I just hope some of these teachers will keep doing some of these online classes for me. You know,
Yeah, and
for people that have to stay home a lot.
exactly, and I
Because
think what
artists stay in a lot. You know, I mean,
exactly. I want to see what it's going to be like coming out of this, because like even Zoe, she has the virtual pub every Friday. And we kind of don't want her to stop it. Maybe once a month would be more realistic. But,
yes.
you know, it's nice to be in your own home, be comfortable, be able to go to the bathroom without waiting for 25 women to come out, you know. So I'm excited to see how it's going to be after this, because so many people are really loving the yoga online.
Oh my God, babe. I tried Bar. Is it Bar or Bear? I don't know. Am I saying it too, Georgia? What? The BARRE classes.
Yeah.
With Christine, which is how I met Zoe, which is how I met you.
Yeah.
And she's kicking my glutes, like I'm having pull muscles. I told Christine yesterday, I'll do the class, but I can't do any upper body because I'm not used to some of these movements, and I literally pull. I feel my abs feel better, well, than they have in the last 2.5 years, obviously. Maybe not pre-baby, but like in the last 2.5, I don't think I worked out abs like that in a long
Yes.
time. And
But I
I
think
really
so
love
we
them.
feel that much harder because you're not in the class, you know, you're like,
It is.
I really am.
I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. I'm not sure, but something, but my body has changed. I don't know if it's changing. Maybe that's why I pull a muscle here and there. I do when after lockdown, I am gonna go to her. I'm gonna try to do once a month or whatever, or if it, but I hope it still has paid or whatever, however, Zoom class, because
Yeah.
this lady, up to Grace, I'm gonna put you to her.
Yeah.
I never really did this before. I'm telling you, I started to, and I noticed the difference. And I'm
Yeah.
like, thank God, thank God that I might get abs again.
Yeah. And that's my next drive. After splits, I'm doing abs. That's it. Splits and abs. That's all I
Oh
want to
Lord.
do.
But you do a lot of yoga, right? You're
Yeah, I
very
do love, I'm more obsessed with my handstands and headstands at the
handstand.
moment. My yoga flow is a bit rubbish at the minute, but doing the splits and stretching, it's amazing what your body remembers you doing. Like when I did a proper yoga practice years before, your body's like, no, no, this is right. And you're like, oh, that's actually stretching me, not like, what is this? Because a lot of people take the piss out of yoga until they do it, and then they're like, oh, yeah, it's kind of hard actually. I'm like, yeah, you
No,
kick your ass if you do it right.
you can do stretchy, chill yoga, or you can do active yoga. I like stretchy, chill. I'm more.
Me too,
Oh,
Sebastian.
I'm in pain here. Oh, I'm in pain there. Oh, good, good, good. But yeah, but when you do an actual workout, yoga you're sweating.
Yeah, it's
Especially,
proper.
there was one I did in LA alone many years ago. I mean, no one, a few times, and he had music. Christine took me to that class,
Yeah.
and it was so much fun because he had soul music, and you could do and you were sweaty, and it was hot
Yeah.
yoga with music. I loved it. I loved it. I don't think I ever had the pleasure to have someone so groovy, and
Yeah.
I think that's why, because before that I was like, what is yoga? Who are yogi people? Yogi people are always angry at us because we play the music loud, because Henry Studios underneath was underneath a yogi. And then
Yeah.
she took me to those classes. I'm like, oh, yoga can be fun.
It
Yoga, and then
can be.
acro yoga, and then this you have,
Yeah.
it's not only
Exactly. You got to take your time. There's so many different expressions of yoga. You got to take your time to find, like, when I had a back problem, I almost couldn't walk, and I did loads of Pilates because, my friend is a personal trainer and she was saying yoga's great, but Pilates will help you build. And I didn't take drugs, didn't do any of that, just kept doing that Pilates routine, and it was incredible what my body repaired. But now, enough about yoga because it's my favorite question of all time. If there is no government, no money, no geography, you have proper scaffolding if you need it, what is your dream? Like, what's the absolute dream for you as an artist?
but this one's really far beyond. I mean, you mean my always is,
You can build a university for artists. I don't mind. You can have your own planet, whatever the dream is. It can be as
well,
big.
I used to, before when it all started, I used to say, I want to create artistic buildings but are still, I used to draw them. And so land is more like land art from an outer perspective or from a higher perspective, where you have, well, you obviously, it could be a museum, it could be even a residence. And these buildings were environmental friendly. You could run around them. They had exercise
Yeah.
involved. It was a full inside. In a higher level, you had different businesses, all artistic businesses, and they all could come into the cafeteria and feed off each other's ideas. I had this whole thing. So, but from the top of each building or civil engineering piece, it said, with lighting, with different lights, it said letters with messages. But this is like, we're talking about, this is when I was like 20 something. So like,
Good.
probably true day is like, yeah, right? Like,
But
But
now it'll have childcare incorporated into it. But
oh,
still,
definitely.
free.
I mean, I don't think I had a little playground, but I would now. That's something, when I go by the Spanish airports, and I know in the Canary Islands, I know the guy that's not working there anymore because he's 80, he's retired, but he's one of my best friends, Pepe, and he was the architect for many of these airports. And every time I go through them, I say, they need a playground. They need a playground. How can you go through? How many tourists are hanging out in this airport, and the kids are just going cuckoo because they now everywhere I go that I don't see something childlike, I make a question about it. Or restaurants, why don't they should all have colors?
Yep.
Colors and coloring all of them like that. That should be a
I
requirement.
don't get it. In South Africa, it's everywhere you go, there is something for kids. Like, it's really, fair enough, it's not the most safe and amazing.
Silverware. Get IKEA silverware. I don't know why all the restaurants don't have IKEA silverware. I take it with me, I take it with me. And I'm like, so simple. The kids are going to drop the stuff on the floor. Avoid.
Exactly.
Avoid the drama. And things like that, or so yeah, I do think everything childlike, everything is, if you're happy and you know it,
Clap those hands.
but yeah, I would love to go into the spiral at the Getty, like land art that from an upper viewpoint has also meaning, not only to our side, to this side, but I guess it's another to this side if you think about it, XY, but another dimension that will be play with lights, play with photography, and play with concrete and spaces.
It feels like a beautiful way to sort of marry everything you've learned.
It had water going through the building to cool off the building. This water channel, this is another things that I love it. This water channel had toys, that it goes, the kids, and it goes under and it goes from the building to under the building to out, and under the building with plexi, so you see all the toys playing around. Like a flow of toys, and then in the concrete you also had broken glass and toys before you let the concrete dry. So when you seal it and you go over it, you have the toys. Of course, you have to put a sealer, or varnish, but you could walk through. I had all this because I was really into working with Barbies back then too. Okay. I'm passing my Barbie mania to my daughter, actually. Yeah,
I've seen them all suntanning. They're loving life in your garden.
Barbie, I mean, but the things that I did to Barbies back then maybe weren't so kind, but I would, I like to play and destroy Barbies, and and get a bunch of Barbie shoes throw them into the exhibition, or what, things. Yeah. I think that toys have a lot of influence in what we do.
100%. Well, to be fair, before Instagram kicks us out, everything today on our Hanway story is to do with Shirley's Instagram. Please go and follow her, show her epic amounts of love. And just thank you again so much for allowing me this time with you and to understand a little bit more about you and how this amazing lady has come to be this amazing artist. And just thank you so much for sharing so much of your family with us and showing that creativity throughout this process has been it's been quite inspirational for us watching anyway. So thank you so, so much, lady.
Love you.
Any questions, guys, send them to me and I'll pass them along. But thank you so much, Shirley. Have a great day.
Love you. Bye-bye.